Dog bite.
No, come on, dog bite.
Oh, Marty, $50.
What are you doing?
Waiting room bingo.
Look at the client, guess the case.
You take me on? $50.
All right, I'll take you on. Okay, fine. Slip and fall.
God, taking candy from a baby. That guy's sweating. Slip and fall.
Exactly, guilt, because he knows he'll be asking for too much.
Nothing to do with guilt. He's afraid, okay? All dog bite victims are afraid of everything. That's why they got bitten by the dog in the first place.
Darwin is a dog. He can smell fear.
Want to go again?
Go again.
Excuse me. Criminal case. First offense, misdemeanor.
It's my client. Joyride misdemeanor.
Got no shoelaces. They took him in lockup. Next time he's going to remember to ask for them back. You can't beat me. I'm the king. Double or nothing.
Right,
Come on.
fine, good.
Come on,
Double or
genius.
nothing.
Yeah. See her? Got written out of her father's will.
Drop it.
Look at her face. She's mourning and angry all at the same time.
I said drop it.
She's not here about a will, is she?
What's going on?
2 years in sex crimes at the DA's office? I'm guessing you learned how to read people there too, huh, Lucas? She's yours.
I'd rather not.
No problem. Anyone else here successfully convict 31 sex offenders? Nope. It wasn't a suggestion, Lucas.
Rape's a criminal offense. You should be at the DA's office. If you need me to...
I've been there. The DA won't prosecute.
Why not?
What that guy did to her, she is afraid to let people get close. You know what it's like for a doctor to be afraid to touch people?
Please, Carl, stop.
Dr. Hill, why won't the district attorney prosecute?
They say she wasn't raped.
Well, the burden of proof is lower in civil court, so maybe...
That's not it. The night he raped me, I was in Pasadena, and he was in Brentwood.
You mean he has an alibi?
No. I mean, he was 20 miles away.
Nanotechnology. Tiny little transmitters, nanites. You drink them. They migrate through your system, latch onto your nerve endings in your fingers, your tongue, your eyes, everywhere. And they transmit all your sensations to receivers on someone else. Feed the signals right into your brain.
So that someone else feels everything that I feel, sees what I see, tastes, smells.
For about 6 hours.
Yeah, it's like on ESPN. The halfback swallows the transmitters, and people wear gizmos so they can feel what it's like to play football.
That's the primitive version. This guy, Bob, he's rich. He got himself the cutting-edge medical research sensor. Prototypes, not available to the general public. Then he met Sylvie's fiancé at a bar and spiked his drink with the nanites.
And experienced the boyfriend's sex with Sylvie that night long distance.
When you say this guy feels everything the boyfriend feels, do you mean he feels...
Everything the boyfriend feels.
Oh, hold on. He was 20 miles away at the time, so how did Sylvie even find out it happened?
Bob told her.
How dumb was that?
He showed up at her work with flowers to thank her.
Wait a second. We're suing this guy because he did the 5-knuckle shuffle?
This guy's a rapist. The DA won't prosecute, but we can sue him civilly.
For what? Invasion of privacy? Trespass, maybe. I mean, unless the guy had a 20-mile unit, no penetration, no rape.
Trespass and invasion of privacy don't come close to describing what happened to this woman.
But you can win on those.
Bob felt everything her boyfriend felt at the exact same moment. He felt her lips exactly as her boyfriend did. He felt the warmth of her skin, the bite of her nails.
At best, it's virtual rape.
You should go to a virtual jail.
This fun for you people?
Look, Lucas, I wouldn't want the guy to marry my sister, but it wasn't rape.
It was the ultimate rape. The perfect crime. He could have easily gotten away with it. Why didn't he? Because the point was to tell her, to see the look in her eyes. That's exactly what he got off on. I know these guys. He'll do it again, only next time we won't be arguing whether it's rape. We'll just be wishing that we'd done something to stop him.
Why did Carl, the fiancé, have drinks with Bob in the first place?
They ran into each other, casual acquaintances.
They knew each other?
Same social circle. Bob had one date with Sylvie a year ago. All he talked about was how much money he made, the things he owned, total jerk. Sylvie wasn't interested. She got engaged to Carl about 6 months later.
So Bob just happened to have the nanites with him?
Yes, he set the whole thing up. He was...
I hardly know you.
You know me.
Those boxing gloves have your name on them.
Yes, I know.
I thought they were just a decoration or some macho affectation.
The boxing gloves aren't the affectation, the boxing is.
So you punched grown men?
Man. One fight I punched one man.
Did you win?
A moral victory?
Ah.
Ooh, that's gotta hurt.
Jerry, you're gonna fall and break something.
How many parents does it take to screw in a heliostat?
It better not be me.
Ooh, that's gotta hurt.
That's the second time you said that.
Third.
It's called a running gag.
Oh, really? Doesn't it have to be a gag first before it can be a running gag?
The show's been on the net for 5 years, Tom. I think they know it's funny.
Oh, the show about the wise guy kid with 3 parents?
I don't know. You watch it?
No, but you do.
No, I don't.
You're watching it now.
Tell him boxing.
This is billable time.
I just got hired by the Star. I'm watching TV for money.
Ooh, that's gotta hurt.
6. What do I look? What'd you go with, turkey or beef?
I think this one is beef.
That's funny. Is this a new show?
Mom, Dad, and Jerry has 112 million viewers. The odds that none of the lawyers in this office are regular viewers.
Why'd the kid hire you?
He wants to be legally emancipated from his parents.
On what grounds?
I don't know, I don't care. We're repping a Star. It's good for the firm.
Sylvie, if this goes to trial... Rape is sex without consent. We are strong on without consent and weak on sex. If a judge sees that, he might toss it. And if he doesn't, that's when things get ugly.
It is already ugly. He used me. Put those things in my drink to get to her. To humiliate the both of us.
There is no rape shield law in civil court. Things you've never even told Carl are going to be publicly dredged up and recorded.
Fine. I've been warned. Now, if we could just move on.
Dr. Hill, how many men have you slept with? Ghost of character. Leg over hand. They're not going to let you up on the stand with her. Ever been unfaithful to Carl?
Yes.
Ever lied? Other than to the man you love? Ever grind up against a guy on a dance floor? Ever have sex someplace public where you could get caught? That turn you on? I'm sorry.
Is that what's going to happen?
Because it works.
Then let's get ready.
Augie? Hello? Darwin McNeil?
I'm Augie Wood, but you knew that. These are my parents, Bertha and Sydney.
Pleasure. Pleasure. So, why are they here?
We're here because he's a 12-year-old boy and we're his parents. We want to make sure no one takes advantage of him. That's what parents do.
What do I gotta do to get emancipated? Well, I'm not paying you to look stupid. Say something.
Don't talk to him like that.
He's a lawyer. You can't hurt his feelings.
Well, you need grounds. They clearly haven't abandoned you.
They sent me to Utah to shoot a movie last summer.
With a tutor, a babysitter, a driver, and we flew up every weekend.
Immorality? Are they immoral?
I'm sure they'll die like everyone else.
No, not immortality.
It's a joke.
We haven't stolen. We're not addicts. No mental defects. Augie, would you just tell him why he's here?
They won't let me take Adelaide.
It's a drug for children with lymphoma.
Do you have cancer?
God forbid, no.
Then why do you want to take it?
One of the side effects is it delays puberty.
That's why he wants to be emancipated, because we won't let him take the drug. He wants to be declared an adult so he doesn't have to grow up.
My voice cracked last week. And I'm starting to get hair. Do you know what that's going to do to my career?
Prolonging childhood is unnatural.
So's your hair, Sid. If my voice goes down an octave, my show's canceled like every other child star show since Leave It to Beaver.
So this would be a financial decision. It's a management choice.
I'll be an overnight nobody, out there robbing convenience stores for attention. Look, I know it's coming. I just don't know if I can handle it.
Good morning. You have 5 minutes.
Your Honor, defense moves to dismiss on the grounds that masturbation is not a tort.
Mr. Gold, I realize that most men exaggerate how well endowed they are, but this does seem extreme.
Just because they weren't in the same room doesn't mean he didn't rape her.
Really? That's what I would have thought. You can have phone sex, you can't have phone rape.
The Bible describes sex as having knowledge of someone. That's what Bob took from Sylvie. Knowledge of her most intimate moments, of Sylvie in her entirety.
That would be a really good point if this were the Sanhedrin. But since Your Honor is not a rabbi, we're stuck with the actual law, which defines rape as sex without consent.
There was sex.
Yes, with the plaintiff's boyfriend, to which she consented.
But she didn't consent to having sex with your client.
Fine, because he didn't have sex with her.
Really? Did he touch himself?
I don't know.
Tough to masturbate without touching yourself. Your Honor, new technology is changing everything. Whether or not what happened here constitutes sex is a question of fact for a jury to decide.
After reviewing the pleadings, one fact leaps out. Ms. Khan, your client is a piece of crap.
Your Honor.
That does not make him a rapist. In fact, in my opinion, he is not a rapist. And if I liked the guy, I might push that agenda. As it is, my legal finding is that they are entitled to a trial.
Lucas, do you have time this afternoon? We'd like to toss you a bone.
You don't have to be here for this. I'm going to be right across from him every day of the trial, aren't I?
Do not look at him. Do not talk to him. Do not engage him in any way. No matter what he says, do not argue with him. It's what he wants. He wants to know that he still has the power to hurt you.
Two things became apparent to me this morning. We're going to win this trial, and my client isn't going to make any friends by letting this go public.
The world can be so cruel to rapists, can't it?
To make this go away, we're prepared to offer $500,000.
Sylvie?
Go to hell.
I guess that's, thanks anyway, Janice.
Do you have any idea what it feels like?
Oh, I think I do.
Bob? We will give you 24 hours to reconsider. And just so you know, we are not just going to challenge that this was actually sex. We're also going to challenge on the issue of consent.
When did she consent? Your client hadn't spoken to Sylvie in over a year.
But he talked to her fiancé.
You're going to argue that Carl told Bob it was okay to rape his girlfriend.
It wasn't a chance meeting. He asked me to have a drink with him. He needed money for his business. And I'm an investor. It didn't take him long to figure out that I liked you more than I liked his business. He thought about that so hard, he spilled his drink. Then he offered me a special inducement to invest. I could nail you through him. His little way of saying thanks.
He's lying. About what? About you asking for the meeting? About your business?
I would never let anyone hurt you. I did invite him. I needed money.
How badly?
Not that badly. Your name never even came up.
Why him?
You had a bad date with a guy. I didn't think it meant his money was no good. Look, I'm sorry. I had no idea. Honey, please. I love you. You gotta believe me.
She's having trouble believing him, and she's in love with him.
Jurors won't be. Check out the bar where the guys met. See if the bartender heard what they talked about. See if they got any video.
He came up to me as I was leaving the hospital with a bouquet to thank me for a lovely evening. He told me he'd been intimate with me.
Did you believe him?
Of course not. Carl and I had been at home alone.
What changed your mind?
He told me how I like to be touched, where I like to be touched. He told me where I'd scratched Carl, what it felt like when I bit his lip.
And when you realized what had happened, what did you do?
I threw up.
And what did the defendant do?
He smiled.
Have the defendant's actions affected your life?
When I used to have trouble falling asleep, I'd go out on the deck and look at the city. But we were on my deck, Carl and I, when it happened. Now the skyline makes me sick. In my own home. In my bed. In my skin. I feel like I don't own my body anymore. I'm frightened because it could happen anytime. Anything I do. I never know anymore what's just mine.
Thank you.
How many orgasms did you have with Carl that night?
Objection. Are you trying to annoy me, Ms. Khan?
I am trying to establish that the so-called rape was far from traumatic for the plaintiff.
We get it. Move on.
Sylvie, when did you decide it was rape?
I never decided it was rape. I discovered I'd been raped.
But if Bob had never told you...
Then I never would have known I was raped. Like women who are victimized while they're asleep or unconscious.
So you would have been raped, but it wouldn't have mattered? No tears, no abrasions, no force, nothing to show for the experience except for an indeterminate number of orgasms.
Your Honor.
Withdrawn. Dr. Hill, how was Bob to know that this arrangement wasn't okay with you?
Because I never told him it was.
What if Carl did?
He didn't.
And you know that because he told you?
Yes. That and the fact that we're in love.
That's nice. Have you ever been unfaithful to Carl?
Yes.
So, he can't trust you, but you can absolutely trust him.
I sell arrows. Can't afford to drive one myself, but how can you sell arrows when you don't drive an arrow?
McNeil, when you asked Tell me about your average day, I didn't think that we would be hearing about every second.
Pudge, what did you do before you were a car salesman?
I was a convict.
And before that?
A crook.
And before that?
I was an actor.
And for what role were you most famous?
I was Little Cloud.
With permission, Your Honor? Pudge, can you explain to us what happened to you between then and now?
McNeil.
Kind of quickly.
My voice changed.
You can say it a little bit more.
When I was a kid, my studio sent me to countries where more people recognized me than they did their own president. In Russia, children asked me to heal them. Politicians wanted my endorsement. Grown women wanted to have sex with me. Grown women no longer want to have sex with me. They don't even want to buy a car from me.
And that's, of course, not because you're a lousy car salesman, right?
When I hit puberty, people stopped liking me. And the ratings fell and people started hating me. I became a joke, which was a little rough for a 12-year-old kid.
No further questions, Your Honor.
So what?
Was that a question?
Yeah. So what? You had it all. A preposterously successful and obscenely high-paying career, and your tragedy is, didn't last forever.
Your Honor, I'm kind of with Pudge here. is there ever going to be a question in one of her speeches, or?
There was a question mark after last forever.
Miss De Labre.
All right, pardon me. If you had had the opportunity to delay adolescence, Pudge, would you ever have chosen to become an adult?
Just look at me, ma'am. Would you?
Electronic device detected.
Look, your PDA, please. That's surveillance right here. Thank you. So, what are we gonna get for you?
I represent a local physician. She was raped by one of your patrons. I'm gonna need to see your video archives.
Well, it's surveillance free in here, so.
Can you get me the video recordings, please?
How far back you need?
March 2nd, starting 7 in the evening. Can you zoom in on those two there? What are they saying?
It's picture only, no audio. We've got interference guns over all the seats.
Wait. Back up to that one leaving. Where does he go?
Looks like he went to the John.
So the other one spills his drink while he's gone.
Yeah.
How did Bob know that Carl spilled his drink if he wasn't there? Unless he was recording it. Show them coming in and out of the archway.
See, it picks up electronics. On the way in, they've each got a PDA. On the way out... Wait. Well, what is that? What happened?
He was recording it. On the way out, the surveillance arch went crazy. The nanites were moving around inside Carl, and Bob's PDA was drawing 800 joules of power. It was downloading.
Downloading what?
Data from the nanites inside Carl. Remember how he described Carl spilled his drink? When that happened, Bob wasn't even there. The only way he could have known about the spill is if he started recording Carl's senses at the bar and replayed them later.
If he played back that part,
He can play back the whole night, anytime he wants.
including later when Carl was with Sylvie.
He can refeel, re-experience, the whole thing. Anytime he gets the urge.
He could be raping Sylvie every night. Civil search warrant worked. Sheriff's people found this still in Bob's PDA.
This is it. This is the rape on this chip?
Recorded and ready to be re-experienced. The data's been accessed over 30 times. I played back the part at the bar. It completely supports Carl's version. Sylvie's name never even came up. Bob is lying.
I'll call Sylvie.
Wait,
Well, she'll want to know.
about Bob replaying it 30 times?
Legally, we have an obligation to tell her.
Bob testifies tomorrow. He can't get up on the stand and claim Carl consented anymore because he knows we have this. And he knows it proves that's a lie, which means we don't need to use this thing in court.
I'm not so sure about that.
The only reason to tell her is the same reason Bob had for telling her in the first place. To watch her puke. To watch her world fall apart. I don't feel any legal obligation to do that, do you?
No.
Ever since he was 3, acting was all he could talk about. He'd make up shows for us, his grandparents. He'd be a cop, a doctor. In all my memories, he's always in a costume.
Did you encourage him to take it up professionally?
Not at first, but he wanted it so badly, and well, I guess the whole world knows he's just so sweet. It's tough to say no to him.
Nothing further.
When I was 6 years old, I wanted to be Billy the Kid and rob banks. You know what my parents did?
They sent you to law school.
Droll. I like that. No, that's not what they did. They said no. Did you ever consider that? Just saying no? No. We're gonna give all our money away, move into a one-room house with no running water in a gang neighborhood.
Objection. Argumentative.
Sustained.
Successful child actors have a 1 in 3 chance of having a criminal record by the time they're 30. okay? That's a higher risk factor than being raised by a single parent in poverty. It's not quite as big a risk factor, however, as being the child of an opioid whore. So if you were weighing those two possibilities, you did make the right choice there.
Is counsel advocating that all child actors be ripped away from their parents?
I don't know, ma'am. I'm just taking them one case at a time.
I honestly just wanted him to be happy.
Okay, look, this is going on way too long, so I'm going to summarize, and you just tell me where I'm off base, okay? When your son wanted to do something that was bound to end up badly, you just couldn't stop him, could you? Whereas now that he's about to crash and burn and there's something that could save him, you've suddenly developed some spine. Is that kind of in the ballpark, Bertha?
Rule number 1 for celebrities. Change is not allowed. If they love you because you're fat, don't lose weight. If they love you because you're 12, don't turn 13.
Augie, do you really want to turn 17 in a 12-year-old's body?
Millions of people I've never even met watch my every move. I'm just not ready to be hated by that many people. I'm just not ready to be a 17-year-old failure.
You're just not ready, huh?
No.
Just a kid.
Yeah.
And that's why you want to be declared an adult so you can stay a kid? You old enough to see the irony in that?
I just don't want to physically grow up. The whole world doesn't want me to physically grow up.
Really? Augie, have you started noticing girls?
Yeah.
There's a lot of them on the lot, huh? Cast, crew. They give you a lot of attention, I bet.
Objection! Does she have a point here?
I'm guessing she does.
Augie, do you maybe think they'd lose interest if things changed, that maybe they only like you because of your fame?
That or the money. That's all they know.
That's not true.
Yeah? What's my first name, counselor?
Augie.
Stage name. What's my real name?
We're not here for you to ask me questions.
It's Frank. You had a nice point there, counselor, that maybe I'm just scared to grow up. But you're wrong. I grew up when I was 8 years old. I grew up the day I wasn't allowed to play t-ball because the league couldn't afford extra security. I grew up the day I played catch with my dad. And the next morning I didn't know my lines and I almost got fired, and it never happened again.
Bob, did you have sexual intercourse with the plaintiff?
No, I did not.
Through your use of the nanite and receiver technology, wasn't the experience similar?
It was similar to peeking through a window at them. It was wrong. It was a violation, and I'm sorry, but it was not sex.
The plaintiff said it was.
It's like a computer game. You see outer space, but you're not in outer space. You feel something, but it's not real.
Then why do it?
I liked her. I thought she was funny and smart and pretty. And she didn't want to go out with me. I called her a couple times after our date, and she tried to be kind, but it became pretty obvious. And I'm not the kind of guy who pushes things. I know it was wrong, but I just wanted to know what it was like.
Thank you, Bob. Nothing further.
How much did you spend on your nanite system?
$800,000.
That's a lot of money for a computer game.
Not when you have a lot of money.
What did it feel like, Mr. Walton?
I told you, like a movie.
Oh, I don't mean the sex. I mean when you saw her face, when you told her you raped her.
Objection.
Take it down a notch, Mr. Gold.
How did it feel when you told her about the violation, as you put it?
Terrible.
Was that a surprise? I mean, did you think she'd thank you for the flowers?
The flowers were to apologize. That's why I went
And the
for...
smile, while she threw up, what was that for, Mr. Walton?
I was numb.
Really? Because for human beings, smiles usually indicate pleasure. But maybe with your species, it's different.
Objection.
No, he's right. I was a jerk. I was cruel. I was stupid. I needed to apologize. Obviously, I did a lousy job of it.
Are you implying that we're here today because you didn't apologize well enough, Mr. Walton? Do you even understand what you did?
What I did was awful. But I'm not a rapist. I know what sex is, and that wasn't it. I'm sorry, Sylvie.
Your Honor.
I'm very sorry.
Your Honor, no question's been asked.
He's not evil, he's pathetic. Brilliant defense.
You scored some points.
Would you find against him?
A love-struck nerd playing a computer game.
You've got to come up with something, make him look bad.
Well, you watched the beginning of the recording, the part in the bar.
Don't go there.
Was it a computer game?
We're not doing this, Linnea.
We can prove how real it was. We can prove exactly what he felt.
By playing for the jury? By letting her get raped again by 12 strangers? I can win this without it.
No, you can't. Lucas, it's not your call.
Everything that happened to you that night, it was recorded.
Oh my God.
On this, we have it. To win this lawsuit, we need to use it. Sylvie, you told me you want to prove what happened was real. Well, that's exactly what we have to show those jurors. And we can't do that without letting them experience this.
If you don't want to do it, we'll understand.
But if I don't, he gets away with it? Then do what you have to do.
Once the playback begins, you'll start receiving data to all 5 senses. Please close your eyes to prevent seeing double.
Your Honor, defense renews its objection. The material is prejudicial in nature.
Your client testified it's like a computer game. How prejudicial can it be? Play.
Body temperature.
Stop. I don't believe anything further would be appropriate.
Hey, can you assign it to Stevie? Yeah, sure. Nice bike, Stevie. Really? You want to ride?
Augie, it's getting late.
Nah, I'd break it anyway. You can't. It's got a gyro stabilizer. Oh, cool.
Hi.
Oh, honey,
Not as cute in person, is he?
Daddy.
We live in an information economy. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is pain. Bob took from Sylvie.
I'm sorry. There's an 82% chance that a juror with my characteristics would consider that analogy inaccessible.
Reset, jury. You can steal money from a bank without even entering the bank. Defraud someone you've never even met. Be sued for transgressions in consensual net worlds that didn't even exist 10 years ago.
I'm sorry. A juror with my characteristics would prefer something more personal.
Pause.
This is why I left the DA's office. I can't handle these cases.
I think about how I'd feel if he had done this to me. And I'm glad she has you on her side.
Every hospital has hundreds of these rape kits for collecting tissue samples, recording damage, and preparing to prosecute. Every night in emergency rooms all over the world, rape victims come in. Some covered in their own blood, all wounded, all having experienced the worst moments of their lives. Now, I'm sorry that Sylvie found out that someone was watching her and her boyfriend have sex. But who pinned her down? Who held her at knife point? Who threatened her life? We can't demean those who have suffered a real rape by defining what happened to Sylvie with the same word. Yes, it was vivid. Yes, it was realistic, but it was not rape. She admitted it wasn't rape when she let every one of you put on a headset. She consented to you doing to her the exact same thing my client did. Can you imagine for a moment a true rape victim volunteering to go through the same experience all over again?
All those years of defense, and you don't get it. Sylvie consented. That's the difference. Ms. Khan said it herself. Sylvie consented to what happened in this courtroom. And consent changes everything. There was this girl in junior high. I used to hang out at her brother's house so I could see her after school. One day, we were alone, and I started play wrestling with her. She told me to stop. I pretended she was kidding, and I held her down. And for one long moment, I knew what it meant to cross the line. I backed off. She made a joke about it, and we never talked about it ever again. And I never felt the same way ever again until I experienced the defendant's recording. How many of you felt the same way? Like you were somewhere you shouldn't be. Feeling her hair, her lips, her body. Maybe that's not what we've ever thought of as being sex, but maybe that's because we've never had to think about it. We've never had the technology. Well, now we do. And you need to make a judgment here. For yourselves, for your wives, for your daughters, that science has given men a new way to commit rape, which is just as vile as any other.
You were excellent on the stand.
Yeah? You think they bought it?
I bought it. Augie. Frank. I also saw you try to ride that bike out there. You haven't been completely honest with me, have you? All this time I've been fighting for a kid to be legally declared an adult, when in fact what this whole thing is about is an adult who wants a chance to be a kid.
No, I really think it's about a kid who wants to be an adult. I mean, that's what the paperwork says.
Oh, well, it was worth a shot. We have closing arguments tomorrow. Wear a tie.
You think it's too late for me to be a kid?
I knew it! Ha! See, I can read people, you know. Look, Frank, all my life, people have been telling me to grow up, okay? And I don't know what they're talking about. If they mean that I shouldn't kick and bite people, if they mean that I shouldn't wet my bed at night or hold my breath to get my way, then sure, they got a point, but I don't do that. I mean, do you do that? But if they mean that I'm too old to ride a bike or go catch tadpoles with my friends or play catch with my father, then I don't want to hear it.
Well, I don't have any friends. Any real ones, anyway.
Boo-hoo. Make some.
Well, you're not out there catching tadpoles. Do you work?
Yeah, but I love my job. Ripping your mother apart on the stand? Now, that is fun.
You think I should drop this lawsuit?
Yeah, we're getting killed.
You want to teach me how to ride a bike?
I can't think of anything I'd like to do more. I will, however, have to bill you for my time. Maybe there's someone else you can think to ask.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. In the matter of Hill versus Walton, we find in favor of the plaintiff and award her the sum of $11 million.
Thank you.
You okay, Mr. Gold?
Yeah. Just tired, I guess. Thanks, Sam.
You didn't only win it for her. Good night.
Good night.